Thank you to Red Cloud. I see our crowds are dwindling a bit as we get near the end of the conference. But a big thank you to Red Cloud. Joe Forrs has always been a big supporter of our company, and a thank you to Jim for an excellent presentation. It helps me a lot because I don't have to tell you a lot about Saskatchewan. I did grow up in Saskatchewan. I grew up in Regina, so I know the province very well. And so in the last 3 years since we set up SKRR, I've begun to develop a lot more of an understanding of the rich geology that exists in Saskatchewan, evidenced by what Jim referred to as the vast Trans-Hudson corridor. The Trans-Hudson corridor is a very, it's part of the Trans-Hudson orogeny, which is really one of the largest formations on this planet. It actually is one of the spinouts of the Trans-Hudson is also the Athabasca Basin. Anyway, back to the overall conference. I love coming to the conferences, and you always end up meeting some very good people, and that's what this business is about people. And Mr. Rosenberg's presentation earlier, I thought was tremendous, and it reminds us as to where we are in the cycle. One of his cartoons I thought was fantastic was when the guy walking away with the sign that said the end is near, and it was his financial advisor. And I think I dovetail a bit on what Jim said. I think we're we're going into a phase where the real assets of the world, whether it's gold, whether it's copper, all these different kind of the revenge of the old economy, as Friedland would say, leads to some interesting conclusions. And someone said to me recently that we're not far away from the stockbrokers driving the taxi cabs and the farmers driving Cadillacs. And so I think it's something to take into consideration. And so one of the big takeaways, or one of the things that I found very exciting about the conference, was listening to the likes of Mr. Rosenberg. I was not able to listen to the talk this morning where Jim was referring to the gentleman from Franco, Nevada, talking about Ron Netolinsky and talking about the geological brilliance of Ron. So I don't really have to tap into that too much, but SKRR was formed about 3 years ago. The SK, of course, stands for Saskatchewan. The one R stands for Ron Netolinsky, and the other R stands for Ross McElroy. So part of my role is really bringing the capital market strength. I was a retail broker with Merrill Lynch. I was at Merrill Lynch along with Rosenberg when he was there at the time, and then also National Bank Financial. So really it was marrying up the capital market strength of people that I do business with over the last 25 years, combined with the geological brilliance of guys like Ron Netolinsky and Ross McElroy. Ross is the president and CEO of a company called Fission Uranium, also very prolific in Saskatchewan, as I indicated. Really, if you do your homework, the Athabasca Basin sort of sits on the edge of the Trans-Hudson orogeny. The Trans-Hudson orogeny, which we nicknamed the Trans-Hudson corridor, one of the most famous assets is the Homestake deposits in South Dakota, which produced about 50 million ounces of gold. That same system plunges to a depth where you wouldn't explore below Regina and Saskatoon, and then it reemerges in the complex that Jim is referring to, which includes the L'Orange Gold Belt, also includes the CB Santoy deposits, and then it hooks to the east and goes into the Snow Lake deposits. And this was a question that was posed to me by someone that actually probably knew the answer, was who's the largest gold producer in Saskatchewan? And I would have sort of guessed CB Santoy. The CB deposit was discovered a number of years ago, and actually Ron Netolinsky had a big hand in that, but ultimately was taken over by Claude Resources. Claude Resources for many, many years, and Jim could probably help write the book, and probably a really good movie about everything that happened in Saskatchewan, in Saskatoon with the McNeils and the whole Claude Resource story. And what's interesting about Claude is that it sat there for a number of years, I think 50,000 ounces of production. and really wasn't going anywhere, was on the edge of bankruptcy for a number of years. And then they discovered something called the Santoy Gap. And the Santoy Gap was a remarkable discovery, was actually about 20 kilometers away from the original CB Santoy, or the original CB mine, and was so rich, the vein was so incredible that they trucked that ore from the Santoy Gap area across the tundra of Saskatchewan and take it over to the CB mine for processing. So the question that I was asked is, who's the largest gold producer in Saskatchewan? I would have thought it would have been CB Santoy, but it's not. How many people here have been to Flin Flon? So I've been fortunate to go to, of course, Laurie's been there. She's from Saskatchewan too. I was recently had the special occasion to meet with Jimmy Pattison in Vancouver, and he told me if you want to have a successful marriage, marry a girl from Saskatchewan. So anyway, what the stunning answer to the question was that the biggest gold producer in Saskatchewan was the Flin Flon ore body. So the Flin Flon ore body, which was a VMS-enriched copper deposit, spun out about 6 million ounces of gold. And so this leads you to some stunning conclusions that Saskatchewan, and in particular the Trans-Hudson Corridor, is dramatically underexplored. About 1/100th of the drilling has been done in Saskatchewan compared to, say, the Abitibi, the Red Lake District, the Golden Triangle. So, Saskatchewan, we know, is underexplored. So Ron Netolinsky, as Jim talked about, was one of the pioneers to go in and really start exploring in Saskatchewan. A remarkable amount of work was done, but a lot of it was not done. A lot of it was like 100 to 200 meters, a lot of surface drilling, as evidenced by, some of the deposit that Mass Gold has done. And Mass has done an incredible job of, outlining 1 million ounces. I mean, so, the amount of potential in Saskatchewan is real. And you got to go back in history a little bit with Saskatchewan. There was dominated by a socialist government for many years, which was, great for the farmers, but not necessarily great for the capitalists. And there was a point in time where if you wanted to be a gold producer, a gold explorer in Saskatchewan, you actually had to partner with the government. So capital tended not to like that, and that's why you saw so much more activity in the Abitibi and the Red Lake areas and the Golden Triangle, which were all just sort of marketing names for those regions. But what you'll see that if you were to do a Google, view of Abitibi, I'm not sure how many producers or how many mines have been discovered, but there's a lot. Whereas you look in Saskatchewan, you sort of see one dot, which is, the CB Santoy deposit. So, we share the view with Jim and his team that there's a tremendous amount of exploration potential in Saskatchewan, and that's why we put together SKRR. So, maybe I'll just advance a couple slides here. I think I'll go, begin again, because Jim did such a remarkable job of talking about the Trans-Hudson Corridor, or Saskatchewan in general. I won't go into detail into Saskatchewan, but we're really, in our business, it's all about the people. And again, I talk at the opening about how much I enjoy these conferences. I had dinner last night with a very interesting gentleman by the name of Keith Spence. Keith's one of the, I think he's been a board member on PDAC for a number of years, and just real testimony, to get to know a guy like Keith last night, that, the quality of people that are available in this business, and really looking for companies is all about, I call the 3 Ps, the right projects, the right people, and the right price. And there's some stunning opportunities right now in the market because the juniors have been decimated, especially junior explorers like SKRR and MAS, for example. We're in a position now where we really have to protect our treasury. We've developed these world-class portfolio of projects, and now it's how do we advance those projects. That's really, the thing that we're looking at is how do we protect our treasury and unlock the value that's, kind of hidden in the Saskatchewan Trans-Hudson Corridor. We've been really focused on another level on focusing in part of our investments, not within SKR, but just overall talking to other individual investors, is high quality companies, for example, like Orezone in Burkina Faso has got the very similar rock that we have in Saskatchewan. Companies like Pan Global that have global assets in the copper space. And really what you'll find is that these companies are dominated by really good quality people. They have great projects and they're available at the right price. So that was really the focus of putting to SKRR, was put together a really strong geological team led by Ross McElroy, who's very active. Ross has handpicked or approved every single project that we have within SKRR, and Ron continues to act as one of our advisors. And that's really what formed SKRR, was to be in the right jurisdiction, Saskatchewan. We really have a focus on gold and had some great success in drilling. One of our main properties is the Olsen Gold property, which is just south of the CB Santoy deposits, right in the heart of the Trans-Hudson Corridor. We have many other projects within our portfolio, and I'll just quickly go over them with you. So again, I'm not going to go into the overall fundamentals of the gold rally, but I really thought it was interesting this morning or this afternoon listening to Mr. Rosenberg. I think one of the assets that we can be comfortable owning going forward is gold, besides cash and treasury bills. And I thought it was, I think he did a great job describing the concerns in the overall market. But I think as investors, if we focus on the right projects and the right people, and we pay the right price, and if we're patient, I think we can always do well in the stock market. And in particular, when you're investing in resource companies, doing your homework and being the right people is the most important. I'm just going to flash through. So just to highlight the leadership that we have, in particular Ross McElroy, who's our chairman, he's our largest shareholder. Ross, combined with myself, insiders control over 10% of the float. There's about 70 million shares outstanding. We have a stunningly low market cap, $2 to $3 million market cap. We got about $1 million in cash, but we have no plans to spend it. Our focus over the next number of months is going to be looking at other strategic ways of advancing the portfolio of assets that we have, which would be very hard to assemble, for the market cap of the company. So we do have a very strong leadership team. I'll also flash near the end of the presentation some of our other board members and advisors that many of you may know. So Saskatchewan, again, very, very underexplored. It's open for business. It's got major potential as evidenced by the Flin Flon ore body, by the Homestake deposits, by the CB Santoy. And it's not only in gold, it's right across all aspects: nickel, zinc, gold, even diamonds, oil and gas. I mean, Saskatchewan is one of the most mineralized areas in the world. It really is. So there's a really good snapshot. If anybody has never seen a picture of the Trans-Hudson Corridor, there it is. And Ross's quote is quite simply that, is this the next Abitibi? And you can see the major assets that have been developed there: the Homestake Gold Mine and the Flin Flon ore body, and of course the Snow Lake deposit. So you can see the collection. We've got a nickel project, the Father Lake. We've got Manson Bay, which is a VMS, gold-enriched VMS deposit just north of Flin Flon. Flin Flon, of course, is a VMS copper-enriched deposit that also spun out 6 million ounces of gold. So there's no question the gold is there. But CB and Claude Resources and their history shows you that these things don't just show up easily. But when you do discover something like the Santoy Gap, you stand there and look up at the vein, and you just, it's remarkable how much mineralization is in this Trans-Hudson Corridor. So you can see we've got lots of projects. Our view is that ultimately when people are looking for good quality gold assets, when they're looking for good quality nickel assets in the right jurisdictions, someone will come knocking on our door. So I'm not going to go into all the different projects because I'm not a geologist. I'm more on the capital markets side. But again, feel confident these have been sort of handpicked by Ross McElroy. Again, we've also got some exposure on the EV side with our nickel projects and our zinc project. Father Lake is very interesting. We just acquired another piece of property called the Carp Lake to add to our Father Lake nickel. Rio Tinto's active in that area. Our zinc property is very interesting. 4 kilometers of zinc potential. It's got a resource on it which isn't 43-101. So we've got nickel, we've got zinc, and we've got gold. We've also acquired some Nickel Peak in British Columbia, a very small asset that we're not going to be spending a lot of time on, but something that we were able to put in the portfolio at a very low cost. In bringing this to a summary, it is about the people. Ross McElroy, is our biggest shareholder, myself, Ryan's our CFO, Ian Butler is one of the senior executives of Cal Tire, Jeremy Ross, well known in the capital markets in the Vancouver area. Our advisory board, Brian Skanderbeg, who was the president and CEO of Claude. Ron Nedolinsky, an advisor. Craig Roberts, the founder of Newfound Gold. Michael Murphy was one of the founders of Torex Gold. Mr. Mike Halverson, who's a very senior executive in the mining business. He's the chairman of Orezone Gold in Burkina Faso. We got a really tight share structure, 70 million shares. Cash is less than that. We're sitting around $1 million of cash right now and looking to do deals. So thank you very much, everybody, and enjoy the balance of the conference, and hopefully I've provided some insight.